Hello, I'm Robert, fact-checking to help scared people. And this is about if you find yourself being getting scared of the situation in Ukraine, then these are things you can do. So, first of all, you need to explain in my previous debunks, and hopefully at the end of that, you see rationally that there is no real risk, that you are not at risk. There isn't going to be a world war, and only if you're in Ukraine is there any possibility of being some way directly affected. But if you are in Ukraine is very unlikely that you have the same level of anxiety that people have outside Ukraine, because you have much better information and you have Zelensky explaining things to you properly. So, after that, hopefully you're at least rationally you have dealt with some of your fear, but you expect to continue to have things like being anxious and scared and panicking and wanting to go and search online, because the way our bodies work, and we're very we have evolved to be not just rational beings, but also to have these instincts and emotions that lead to us, and they've been very adaptive and useful in evolution, because sometimes you need to react very quickly and you need to react in an instinctive way, and reasoning just takes too long. So that's why, well, at least one reason why we have this panic and emotion things, and sometimes it leads to better decisions, because reasoning, sometimes you can't get to your decisions so well with reasoning, and you can get to a kind of shortcut in the reasoning, and it leads to a better outcome. So, I mean, like a simple example, if just kindness and it's like an emotion, and if you tried kind of rationalizing and reasoning out, then it would be quite difficult maybe to get to the point that you do just spontaneously because you want to help someone. And that is instinctive, really. I think kindness is instinctive to humans. But this is another instinct which is maladaptive in our modern society, especially. It's like our we've evolved so as to be able to deal with hazards like for instance, saber-toothed tigers, and the media stories and the politicians also with their war words, they are hooking into this, and they are kind of triggering it and putting it into overdrive, so that you've got this being sparked off all the time, many times a day, and that leads to the panic attacks and the anxiety. And so these, even once you've got over it rationally, if you go and turn on the news, then it's like kind of crafted, the way they speak, the images they share, the tone of voice, the pacing of the voice. It's all is almost like calculated, except it's not calculated in the kind of mathematical way, but it's calculated in this sort of, they've developed the instinct to present it in such a way that it'll really impact on your emotional responses, so that you start, you can almost can't help yourself kind of getting emotionally affected by this idea that there's going to be a big war and it's going to be very scary. So try to limit this. That's quite important. Try to limit your exposure. So if you, especially checking the news 10 times a day or something, then you're going to have much higher level of anxiety, even if you've seen through it, than if you don't check the news many times a day. So if you've got really very, very clear understanding that there's absolutely no possibility of this, then you can look at it in such a way that it's really no more scary than, say, looking at a thriller movie or something, and the news, the movie news stories, because it's not true. It's not actually, it's not real. There's nothing actually real happening. It's just words. There hasn't been a single. Then Russia is not at war with Ukraine, apart from in a very small way. Apart from in a very small way in the Donbass region, where it's not Russia, it's ethnic Russians supported by Russia, and that's been going on for years. Apart from that, there isn't any declaration of war. There hasn't been even one tow or one shell. So you can ground yourself in that, and then try and find space in your life for things that you enjoy. The one thing what you don't want to do is to do things like, oh, I'm not going to come to this celebration. I'm not going to go to the birthday party or the wedding or whatever because I'm so scared. I'm going to stay at home instead and spend the whole time checking on the internet to see if Russia's invaded Ukraine yet or not. And I'm not going to call in to work and say, well, I'm not feeling well, and spend the whole day just checking these things. So there's a tendency for people to do that sort of thing, and it's best to continue with your life as before. And then the other thing that tend to happen. So definitely, if you've been panicking every day for the last 2-3 weeks, you may well have developed some sort of anxiety disorder, and you may well need therapy. So that is just like if you've broken your leg or something, then you don't hobble around and just hope it'll heal itself. You go to see a doctor. Otherwise your leg will be all wonky and it'll take ages and you'll probably never be back to normal again. And so if you're developing some kind of anxiety disorder, then the therapist can do a lot. And don't feel that you have to do what the therapist says. Just go in and listen to what they have to say, and then if they convince you that this is going to work and it's useful, you can give it a go and see if it does work. And if it does, then there you are. You've managed to get some benefit from it. And so you aren't there as a servant of the therapist, as it were. You're there with the therapist like your doctor. It's there to help you. And so you go, and then it's understood that therapy isn't quite like medicine, that sometimes you just don't gel with a particular therapist. You might need to go and find someone else. So that is perfectly acceptable and normal. And then if you are autistic, then autism is not a disability, it's an ability, but it's also a vulnerability. So it's ability to kind of concentrate, to be very focused for a long time, to be very immediate in your experience of things in a very useful way, to have very vivid experiences which can be very useful, but it's also a vulnerability for all those same reasons. So if you are autistic, then you may need a different form of therapy. You need a therapy. Try to find a therapist who is used to treating autistic people, and you may find you get more productive therapy that way. So anyway, but then you mightn't have got it so bad as you need a therapist. And anyway, the things we can say that can help that. So I'm just going to talk about a few things that are not therapy, but just things you can do that can help. And so one thing is, what's not going to help is you just try stopping yourself from so you instead just keep doing the ordinary things, substitute other things that you enjoy. But if you try to actually stop yourself from searching and going online, then that's very likely to lead you doing it more and more of it. So you need a somewhat more relaxed attitude. And I've got this example that if you try to stop thinking about a yellow hippo with a pink hat on for 20 seconds, then your mind will be full of yellow hippos with pink hats on. If you're very visual, you see lots of visual yellow hippos with pink hats. Maybe just be the thought of lots of yellow hippos with pink hats. It doesn't matter. You'll find it very difficult to stop doing that for 20 seconds unless you're really quite an unusual person. So most people, their mind will be full of a yellow hippo with pink hats, although unless you've seen my debunk before, it's almost certain you've never had that idea in your mind for your entire life until you try to stop thinking about it. Now, with that particular idea, you don't mind having an idea of a yellow hippo with a pink hat. It's just an exercise, and few people are going to be upset by that, or think, oh, how bad I am. I'm such a bad person to be thinking of a yellow hippo with a pink hat on. Nobody's going to think like that. Nobody feels that it's morally bad to think about a yellow hippo with a pink hat on. So as soon as you end the exercise, within a few minutes, you haven't got a single yellow hippo with a pink hat in your mind anymore. But when it's something that you really don't want in your mind, and you try to stop it, then it's not like an exercise. It'll just go on and on and on. It's really great tendency to be reinforcing. The more you try to push it away, the stronger it gets. The stronger it gets, the more you want to push it away. So you keep on trying, so it gets stronger, and so it can get into a kind of rut like that. And that's basically kind of how OCD starts, or something like OCD, if it's not necessarily that same diagnosis. So you just need to be very relaxed and just, not try to force it away, just let it be. And this is cognitive behavior therapy, and this is the World Health Organization booklet about it. So you can try going through that; it'll maybe help you with it. And it's about these ideas like hooks, thoughts and feelings like hooks. You get hooked up by them, and then you gently need to unhook from them. They give lots of advice about things you can do, and what you can do to unhook. And it's very, very difficult to let these ideas just be in your mind for once you've got really caught up in trying to push them out. But that's basically what you need to do, and gently let them be. And so those are all different kinds of thoughts that get stuck in your mind, like worrying about other people too. And so it's these kind of hook you, and you need to find ways of gently unhooking them. And then eventually, and part of it is acting on your values and moving towards them and away from rather than away from them, and how to be kind to yourself and others. So all this could be very helpful. You have a look at the book yourself, because I'm not going to explain it properly. But what you are, it's very much like the at the end of it, where you're headed is like being it's like if you're watching a storm and you're in a safe place and you're not scared by the storm, then you can let and same way with the difficult thoughts, in this case trying to stop thinking about Ukraine, you can let all those thoughts come and go, and you're no longer scared by them, and you just let the thoughts be and let them go, and they come and they go, and they're a dramatic display of thoughts comes up in your mind, and then it fades away and then other ones come, and that's okay, it doesn't matter. And you can even kind of marvel at how energetic your thoughts become. So that's where you can end up being, and but not try. If you try to push them away, they'll keep. It doesn't really work. And so the other kind of a hint that may be useful is the idea that if you've got, and it's both if you're panicking a lot and also if you are a debunker and you're helping scared people, then you may find that you've been very much on edge with a high level of adrenaline and for the last several weeks. And so this is not necessarily an anxiety disorder, but it's more like you're very much on edge all the time, and it's not really kind of a very healthy place to be. And so you need to find a way to kind of find moments of quiet things in your life. I don't not necessarily that you're you're painting or you're gardening, whatever, or it's not necessarily quiet in that sense. It could be, for instance, if you're a boxer, you're punching away at a punching bag. You know, it could be fencing, you're trying out your fencing moves. It's not necessarily something kind of conventionally peaceful, but something that for you is your baseline, that you enjoy, that you regularly do, you often do in your day, and you've given it up in order to spend time online finding out about whether Putin has invaded Ukraine yet in the last 5 minutes. And so you just try doing more of these ordinary things, and not taking the day off work and not cancelling appointments and not in order to search for Ukraine, doing those ordinary things, doing all the ordinary things you normally do, doing things you enjoy, doing more of the things you enjoy, indeed even than usual if you can, and things that are useful and so on. Just find space for these quiet moments, quiet in the sense that it's things you enjoy, even if it's a very busy, in some sense, like fencing is. You might almost think, well, how could fencing be a quiet moment? But it is. If that's your thing, then a few minutes of fencing practice may well be a very quiet moment for you, in this sense. So just try and find space for these things in your life, and that's especially important for debunkers too, because if you've been helping these scared people for the last several weeks, then you may well be at a very high level of adrenaline, not because you're scared. Many of the debunkers are not scared, but just because you are facing kind of emergency situations all the time. The people posting the group and they say, I need help. Can you help me now? Can you help me in the next 5 minutes? And so you get this kind of pressure to try and find a good debunk, or to search online, and you may even be kind of giving up things in your own life in order to go on the line and search something for someone who's panicking in the group, and you may well find that you yourself are getting quite on edge about it. And so if this happens, then create a bit, do the personal boundaries thing. Say that you could actually not check or whatever if it gets to that point, if you need to do that. We've got lots of debunkers in the group. Don't feel it all depends on you, and you find your space, find your moments of peacefulness in your life, and try to notice. And you may well find when you first start doing this, if you've been on edge with debunking for quite a while, then you may well find that the things you used to enjoy seem not so bright, not so alert, not so a little bit dull and less interesting. So that is a clear sign that you need to do this. So, and it could be, like for me, one of the things I enjoy is photography, just taking photographs of things. That's quite a peaceful thing to do. And if I've been very much on edge, then I go out doing a little bit of taking photographs of things. Then it takes a little while to get back into it. So I've gradually and you think, oh, I can't be bothered or whatever, even though you normally do enjoy it. So try looking out for that, and actually doing these things that you enjoy, and finding more space for them again, and that will help to create. You then have a kind of spectrum. Instead of always being the high adrenaline all the time, you have a spectrum of quiet moments, and then you can get little quiet moments all the way through the day, and they don't need to be big long things. They can even be just a few seconds or a few minutes, and so in that way, it's not helping other people to panic yourself, or not panic in the sense of scared, but panic in the sense of how can I manage to answer this person in time or whatever. And so just finding an easier way into this. And so that's something I've had to deal with from time to time while debunking, and I found a way through it. And this is one of my top tips, is to try and find these quiet moments and keep on with your ordinary everyday activities. Because I know some people are very active in the group, and they spend a lot of time on there helping the scared people. And I go there, and some names that I'm always seeing there, and so that's something that to bear in mind. If you're one of the very frequent debunkers, then this is something that you may need to do a little bit of this, and just pay particular attention to this, and then it'll be fine, and then then you can do your debunking. It's better for the debunkers, the people you're helping. It's better for you, and you can do it in a way that doesn't lead to this constant adrenaline, but has this kind of spectrum of peaceful moments that means that you're not always at high edge. Then it's much, much more stable, much more something you can do indefinitely. It's something you're not going to burn out if you can do that, and you're not going to have to take a break from doing it. You take a break for other reasons, because you've got things to do or whatever, or just we very much value our debunkers. Then they often they often take breaks, and that's absolutely fine. And just any time that anyone spends there is absolutely it's very much appreciated. But but if you are one of the ones who does, you've got the time to do it, and you spend a lot of time, you feel it's a worthwhile thing to do in your life, then it is it really is going to be very helpful to find this space and find these quiet moments as part of what you're doing. It's really quite an important part of it, I think. And so anyway, hopefully just some tips that I'm sharing. So then if I go back to here, at the end of my debunk, I've already shared that's Doing What Matters at Times of Stress, the World Health Organization booklet. And you can go through that properly. I didn't explain that properly at all. And I haven't really done it properly. I've done something, so you don't need to go all the way through and do it as a complete course. You may well just find some useful things in that. Or you can do it as a complete course all the way, working from the beginning and working through, and they tell you how to do it. And so you can go through step by step, and it's a complete course. It's designed as a self-help book. So they say that you don't need a therapist to use it. So that's certainly a resource that's available, recommended by a professional resource. Then there's my 7 tips, which is, it's not therapy, it's just one of the tips is to get help from therapists, but it's these things that we found that have been very useful in the group for the particular people that we help, the particular situation that comes up over and over. Then these 7 tips kind of include things like you get enough sleep, you get enough food, plenty of good food, and you're not dealing with the problem of excessive searching and so on. The things that come up over and over again. And then there's the breathe in and out slowly and deeply to give another way to calm a panic attack. That also has a whole list of resources at the end. Some of the best sites I've found for self-help with de-stress and anxiety. So go and have a look at the end of that. I've also got another page with there's some meditations. So some people find meditation useful. Some people guided meditations, simple breathing meditation, meditation of focusing on something of something to help your mind calm down, called shamatha. And then there's also some people find find listening to relaxing sounds is very helpful. And so there's some long clips there of like rainfall or birdsong and so on going on and on for hours, and that's something you might find it's useful to play that in the background, either during the day or maybe during the night as well. If you tend to get nightmares, it might help a bit. And so the various resources there that I've come across that I've linked to and that that you may find helpful. So anyway, that's some of what we've got here, and very welcome to the group. Anyone who's scared and anyone who wants to help with the debunking in whatever way, either by the fact checking or by helping scared people in various ways, just being there for them, even if you can't, or you're not very, or else you're connecting them to the fact checks, searching and finding the debunks and then linking them to it as well, because it's difficult for them to do it in a panicked state of mind and so on. Anything like that would be very much welcome, both debunkers and scared people, to the group. And so anyway, I'll upload this, and hopefully this will help some of you be a little bit less scared and navigate your way through this, and it will come to an end, and then there'll be other crises after this, but this is it's just a war of words. It's nothing has happened yet, not even one. Nothing has happened except words so far, and probably there will only be words all the way through. So just kind of ground yourself with that, and hopefully that's the most likely outcome. I think that there'll only be lots and lots of words, and nothing, and no actual things happening apart from military exercises and words, and the usual shelling in Donbass, which has been going on for years. And that's probably all that's going to happen, but we'll see what happens. But there's nothing to be scared of in personal levels, certainly. So anyway, I'll upload this, and I hope this will help some of you.